Alright, you guys have been asking for this non-stop, so I'm going to finally give you what you want. We're going to do a track guide for Laguna Seca. Now, before we start with the track guide, the first thing we need to talk about is the setup. We all know that an expensive setup is the key to victory, okay? Don't listen to these people that tell you need to do practice, you need to learn the track, boring. Just spend as much money as you can on a setup. Like, look at these numbers. Do you know what these numbers mean? No one knows what these numbers mean. There's like a heart rate monitor thing here that doesn't even change when you change some of the numbers. It's all a lie. No human being can actually tweak these values successfully. You need to spend money on a setup that's been made in a lab to get the best results out of this. Like, if you can't afford a setup, if you're a kid at school or something, just steal your mum's checkbook. I mean, do people still use checks? I don't know. Steal your mum's iPhone, that's probably got her credit card details on it. Sneak into her room when she's asleep, unlock it with her face, and then use that to buy the most expensive setup you can. Because we all know the more money you spend, the faster you go. If you're really poor and you can't do any of that stuff, then just, I don't know, like turn the wing up a bit, and that'll probably do. So now that we've got the most important thing out of the way, we can get on with the boring task of learning the track. Oh, that's the wrong button. That's also the wrong button. There we go. As you can probably tell, I'm using a controller because we all know that is the optimal way to play a racing game. We're just going to ignore the pit speed limit because I'm not a little bitch. No one tells me what to do. Yeah, as I'm just warming these tyres up, I think we can all agree that this kind of input response time is just unparalleled, and you only get that from a controller. Like, you don't get this kind of response from a steering wheel. And it's a shame that the ACC esports community has been so secretive about this and not been willing to share this tip with other people, but I don't mind leaking it, you know. Call me the Edward Snowden of sim racing. Like, I'll leak it for the greater good. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I've seen plenty of people use steering wheels at high levels. I watched Jardier, I watched Dave Cam, more like Dave Scam. Look, all I'm saying is you can do a lot with CGI and green screens these days, okay? Alright, the tyres are pretty much at the optimum pressure now, which, if you don't know, is 26.4 on the left and 26.0 on the right. And the reason I'm only talking about the front pressures is because obviously we're in a front wheel drive car, so the rear tyre pressures don't actually matter. So coming into the first corner, you want to brake. In fact, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go third person, because again, that is kind of the optimum way to play. I sometimes use cockpit view as more of a challenge, but for the most part, you want to be in third person, really, if you actually want to be competitive. Why won't the car move? We stalled. Unrealistic, but whatever. We got teleported back to the pits. No worries, we'll just go out again. Remember to speed in the pit lane. One thing I like to do as well, just to spice things up, is switch to TV cam. That will really help you learn the circuit, because you can't see most of it. Yeah, you see like there? Couldn't see the corner. So that really helps to build up the muscle memory. Like when it's kind of fight or flight, you know, when you can't see what's coming, you really have to learn. And that'll shave at least a second off your lap times if you just stick to this camera for most of your practice. See there, I didn't know that corner was there. So imagine how easy the game's going to seem when we switch back to like the competitive esports view like this. Like, look how easy this is. I can see everything. That's not going to help me learn. I need to be challenging myself. Yeah, we want to brake probably about here. Yeah, you see, I've done that corner better than I normally would. I'm not even going to lie. So like, it's already paying dividends. You can't argue with those kind of stats. Like, within 2 corners, we've improved. Then we come up to the best bit in any track, which is the corkscrew. I'm just kidding, it's awful, you can't see shit. Here, brake on like the number 2. If it gets taken out, I don't know, guess. That's pretty much the same strategy for most of these corners. Use the braking boards that can very easily get taken out. Then when they get taken out, like this one here, this number 2, really important. Really important. So when that's gone, you're fucked. Like, there's just game over. You will definitely end up over here in the sand. And the important thing here is to remember to stay full throttle, because then you'll inevitably swing across the track like this, take out half the grid. And that's what we're all here for, really, isn't it? That's another place where it's very important to stay on the throttle if you're in the sand, because then you stand the maximum chance of just wiping out half the grid. This got another one here. This can just drag you off to the right here. Just stay flat out. Don't even sweat it. Like, your race is over at that point. Who cares? Fuck everyone else. There's the number 1 board. We'll just get rid of that. Again, another important place to stay full throttle for maximum death chance. And then here, I wish there was a handbrake button. Like, what kind of racing game doesn't have a handbrake button? Bit shit really, isn't it? Even PS2 racing games had handbrake buttons. This corner in the Porsche Cup car. In fact, let's get in the Porsche Cup car. That'll spice things up a little. Now this car, much better to warm your tyres with, because you can drift everywhere. Like, look at that. Look how warm the tyres are getting already. All that sand, all that friction. That's exactly what we want. Like, think about when you get sand in like your butt crack and it chafes, you know? Think of all that friction going on with the tyres in their little butt cracks. Now, don't be afraid to use reverse. Unlike the handbrake, they weren't too lazy to add reverse as a feature of this game, so it's there, use it. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the expression, slow and steady wins the race. You can't get any slower than going backwards, can you? Obviously, you want to do as much drifting as possible to refill your nitrous and rack up some good points, get a good combo on the go, hopefully get you closer to that S-rank style score at the end of the race, which is then going to help you breeze through the battle pass in no time. You don't really need to take the corkscrew, that is a pro tip, you can just cut across it like that. There aren't any marshals on Tatooine, so you won't actually get any track limits on this track, which is nice. If she starts to get a little wiggle on like that, that's fine. Just let her do her thing. Let it happen. Don't fight the wiggle. There's one thing that Tarkov video told me, is that everyone is wiggling. You see, we're starting to get a bit of a high score going on the bottom right tyre pressure there. Up to 30.7, that is a new PB. Oh, one thing we've not covered is the pit exit, isn't it? Pit exit is quite funky here. Let's go take a look at the pit exit. Don't forget to speed in the pits. Now, if you're one of those weird people that wants to take the actual proper pit exit instead of the optimal line, which is over here, if you want to take the slow exit, the key is to just cut right across here into oncoming traffic. You want to make sure you T-bone someone as you leave the pits, because that is a free position. Let's do a proper lap and put this all together, shall we? Brake in at the end of the curb, change down an amount of gears. Little drift, little back it in there, that is optimum. On the sand for extra points. Change down to second here, floor it, floor it, floor it, try and drift. On the sand again for extra points. The more time you spend in the sand, the better on this lap. That is one thing I forgot to mention. Hit the curb. More sand. Down here you want to flap your arms around a little more. Bang on the number 2 if you want to go in the gravel. I didn't finish the sentence. Bang on the number 2 if you want to go in the gravel. Up here we want to brake, bang on the number 2, turn in and just hope for the best. Worked out better than I expected. Now for the corkscrew, we're going to take the optimal line again. Just skip the corkscrew basically, because why would you take it when you don't have to? Like, there we go. Perfect, perfect. This corner, just don't really worry about the apex, just drift it if you prefer. You can also take this access road if you want to gain some time. But yeah, they've patched it. They've patched the shortcut. Okay, that's unfortunate. For the final corner, brake on the number 2. If you want to go in the gravel, didn't finish the sentence. The more flapping, the better. And that completes a lap of the sand pit. I hope you learned something. We're going to die. We're going to die. Now, as always, I'll give you some lap times for reference, just to really demoralize you when you first start learning this track and you think you've got the hang of it, and then it turns out you're not even at the amateur stage. So yeah, for the amateur times, when you first start learning the track, just knock about 5 seconds off whatever you're currently doing. And then the Pro-Am, knock another couple of seconds off. And then the Pro Alien time is exactly what I did. Oh, and I nearly forgot the most important tip to get faster. Just do all of your laps in the hot lap mode instead of in the realistic practice mode or qualifying or race or anything like that. Just do it in hot lap. That'll instantly shave about a second off your lap times, but won't actually prepare you in any way for a proper race, which I guess fits this video pretty well. But yeah, like and subscribe for more bullshit like this.